Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 137 of CPG Vibes. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Me and Wade could not be dressed any more differently. The only thing that's similar between us is we're both either balding or bald. Wade, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. You know, I might have a few technical challenges today. If I can make one recommendation to everyone listening or watching, whatever the case may be, never try and pull off getting a new phone and a new computer at the same time. Every time I open a window or try and open an application, it's some kind of new permission that needs access or something. But I think we got it down pat. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it goes double if you're entering into an important meeting or traveling for a meeting, taking new things and giving it a run for the first time. It's very dangerous. You're living on the edge, Wade. You're living on the edge.
Let's do it.
That's how you are. All right. Well, so welcome to our show. We're really excited because this is the first of its kind. It's historic. I say historic a lot, but this episode, I actually mean it. It's the first expert series where it's women in CPG. So this episode is dedicated to women entrepreneurs that are out there kicking ass. They've started their own businesses in CPG and are succeeding and scaling, or in one of our members' cases, she exited from one of her previous brands, which was Late July, Nicole Dawes. So it's going to be a fun show, and they're going to share their stories, their insights for any entrepreneur out there. And, you know, I read a statistic shortly before starting today's show that at least for female founded companies in the United States, less than 13% are female founded. So that's a pretty low statistic. Hopefully that keeps going up and we see a little more equality there. So, but either way, thank you for tuning in. We're going to go into a laundry list items of our sponsors and also some mentions and also some updates and news. And then we're going to swing right into bringing our guests on. So first off, we got it back. We're the number one rated CPG podcast in the world. We lost it for a few days, and I was actually fearing that we would not be able to say number one today on this show, but we got it back. We had a surge of over 35 ratings, Wade, within 3 days this week. And so we're back in front. We're number one. If you'd like to keep us a number one, please give us 5 stars by going to Apple Podcast, searching for CPG Vibes, and to scroll down to the bottom and you click 5 stars. Takes about the same time as taking a breath in and out. So if you have time to take a breath, you have time to give us 5 stars. Also, if you're interested in sponsorships and block rates, we just had one of our premier sponsors take 10 spots in 2025. 2024 is completely booked up. But if you'd like to be a sponsor in 2025, email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We have intro rates. So for $350, you can nail and get one episode. If you'd like to get discounts on multiple episodes, if you get 3 or more, you get, I think, 5% off. You get 5 or more, you get 10% off, and so forth and so on. Make sure to reach out because these shows are getting anywhere from 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes over 100 CPG-centric individuals live right here on the show. If you want to market your service, your product, this is a great place to do it, being with the number one podcast. So we'll make sure to get the word out there and let everyone know that you're sponsoring so you get some business, right, and grow your business. That's our goal. Grow together and support the community. And we also have this week's sponsor, which is Social Nature. And it's interesting, Wade. Usually for these special edition episodes, we do not bring on the sponsor because there's just no time. But figuring that Social Nature is female founded, by Analia Krebs and also by Ashley Winston Jones, we want to bring on one of the members from Social Nature. So she'll be coming on a little later in the show, and a little bit about Social Nature, and then we'll go into our ongoing sponsors as well. But Social Nature helps natural brands. I'm going to bring it over here so it looks like I'm looking at the camera, even though I'm reading. I think that's a wise choice, right, Wade?
Sure.
So yeah, just, like teleprompters, like it looks like they're looking at the audience, but they're looking at, teleprompter. Social Nature helps natural brands get discovered on retail shelves through their community of 1.1 million shoppers who are looking for better for you options. Entering into a new retailer is very hard. It's even harder when it's 500 random store locations, which is often the case when expanding into Walmart, Target, and others. Give the store list to Social Nature, and it'll drive in-store velocity at these key retail accounts for you. Social Nature, I believe it's socialnature.com, right?
Because
I know
I've got it right there.
There it is. So I'm not looking at the screen. Now I am. Socialnature.com to check out more and get more information. You can also LinkedIn message Analia Krebs or Ashley Winston Jones if you want more information on their program. And they're giving away a very healthy package here to one winner. So stay tuned for the entire episode. It could be something mentioned by one of our guests, by me. Usually what I say is totally stupid, so I'm not going to do a trivia question about what I say. What Wade says. At the end of the episode, if you guess the answer right, you'll win a category review. Of course, someone's calling me right now. Category review insights package from Social Nature. And that gets a focus group for 150 shoppers. It's worth a lot of money, and you can win it right here on the show at the very end of the show. So stay tuned in. We also have our ongoing sponsors, and that's My Way 3PL and Range Me. Let's go with Range Me first. We're going to flip it this week. Range Me is the smartest way to get your brand in front of thousands of retailers, experience always on-brand exposure, exclusive buyer discovery opportunities, and access to proprietary insights, research, and resources. With over 15,000 microphone drop buyers, 15,000 buyers on Range Me, they ensure continuous exposure to retail buyers from top retailers such as Sprouts, Whole Foods, Target, Albertsons, Publix, Kroger, Costco, Wegmans, H-E-B, Food Lion, Giant Foods, Fresh Market, Fresh Time, and we cannot forget Jimbo's, right? The king of San Diego down there where Wade used to work. So they cover it all. And that's not all. Range Me combined with ECRM category sessions deliver exclusive live in-person events where you can meet directly with leading national and regional retail buyers for curated face-to-face meetings. Ready to elevate your brand? Visit rangeme.com/CPG vibes to explore membership options. And we say it once, Wade, we say it again, no brainer to have this program. You go to rangeme.com/CPG vibes. You got to go through there to get the savings of 30%. It's a rounding error to your P&L to get a yearly membership. So make sure to do that and go to that landing page. And last but not least, My Way 3PL. I always think of the Frank Sinatra song when I see their name. Did it my way. Are you an emerging? I'm not going to do karaoke today, I promise. Are you an emerging CPG brand and struggling with finding affordable warehousing and e-commerce services for your pallets of products or other 3PL services requiring large volume and charging high rates? My Way 3PL is built to work with small and large brands alike. Whether you're shipping and storing your first single pallet to freighting and storing multiple truckloads, My Way 3PL can service companies at all growth stages. They have a network of 13 distribution centers from across Southern California to Texas to Midwest and many more regions. So they really take the pain points that a lot of brands go through from not being flexible, the rates are too high, having minimums and how many pallets you can store. And they really they take that all out of the window, and they want to work with you. They want to grow with you and scale your business from one pallet to many, or if you're already large, you can go to even larger. myway3pl.com/CPG vibes. Mention CPG vibes and you get your first pallet for free for the first month. And I'd be remiss because I forget this every week, Wade, our YouTube channel. Not going to forget it this week because you've been working hard on that. You had to get the code from my phone to get access. I mean, you're working that hard. So he's uploading episodes there. Wade's doing it. He's the guy getting his hands dirty, uploading the episodes on YouTube. And so you go to youtube.com/@CPG vibes to rewatch any episode. And if you want to rewatch the episode on LinkedIn, just this same link, you just refresh it, save it, refresh it, and you can rewatch this episode. I think we're good, right?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, let's go. And we're at the 14 mark. So I'm only 4 minutes after what I was planning. So almost on time. Almost on time. That's my motto. All right. So without further ado, we're going to be bringing on our guests for this special edition episode for women in CPG. And so we're bringing on, and no music for this. I'm just, entrance music is like, we don't always have to have it. And I think it's simpler this way. We have Pham. She's the founder of Sang Vietnamese Coffee. We have Karen Danudjaja. She's the co-founder of Blume. Nicole Dawes. She is the founder of Nixie Beverage and also the co-founder of Late July. How is everyone doing?
Great. Doing good. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Welcome.
Absolutely. And there's, by the way, Wade, there's these comments. So we haven't had time to shout anyone out, but if you have any questions for any of our guests here and any of these entrepreneurs, just let us know, put it in the chat. We'll display it on the screen and someone can answer that. So usually how we start this, it's boring but effective, right? Is we just introduce everyone. You tell us who you are. When I say boring, I meant it's very traditional, not boring. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from, the company that you own, and let's just say one thing about you that we may not even know about you that you want to say on the show. We're putting you on the spot here. So we're going to start with Lon here in the upper right corner. Lon, great to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Wade. I'm Lon, the founder and CEO of Sang. I started this 3 years ago, and I would say the weird fact about me is I have 2 different size feet.
That's something that I've never heard that before, and you've nailed that one.
You threw a random odd fact, and you put me on the spot first.
That works.
Really setting the bar there. I don't have anything prepared.
I don't have anything else, but yeah.
We can say that. We can
We're
say
talking
she's
like half size difference, right? Not like 1 or 2.
Okay, she's definitely landed. She's landed on her. She's landed on her feet on this episode.
I did land on my feet with Sang, but yeah, I'm excited to be here, especially with 2 amazing women. So thanks, guys.
All right, let's go to Karen next. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm Karen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Blume, and we're building kinder rituals with superfoods. And something you might not know about me is that I'm actually Canadian, and I'm in Vancouver, BC.
All right, that's a good one, but the feet one is better. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Honestly, I'm not upset about that. Yeah.
All right, and Nicole, welcome to our show.
Sorry, I was getting distracted by some of those comments. It's wild over there in the comments.
It is.
My name is Nicole Dawes. I am the founder and CEO of Nixie Beverage Company. And prior to this, I was the founder and CEO before we exited of Late July Snacks. I guess a fun fact that people might not know is I started Late July when I was pregnant, which is, I don't know, something I don't know that I recommend, but I think it's one of those things like the less you know, the better, probably when you start your CPG company. So I figured do it all at once. That son I was pregnant with is 22 now. So it's been a while.
Wow. Yeah. Time flies. Time flies. Good stuff. Okay. Well, we can open it up with, again, this is no script, just chat. Me and Wade prepared for this maybe about 3 minutes before going live. We're just being honest. We want this to be just an open discussion, a fun conversation here. So I'm going to start it over to Lon, where I'm proud I'm pronouncing her name correctly, right? Because many people say Lan, right?
Thank you. I'm very impressed, Alex. Yes.
I grew up around a lot of Asians and Palos Verdes, so no excuse from my side. So I want to really know more about, the fact that it's more of a single source, right? You're doing single source, and you're entering a category, which is coffee, right? So going into this, knowing any category is competitive, coffee is ultra competitive. What gave you the conviction that with the type of product you're bringing into this market, into this category, that would be successful? Like, what convinced you? What kind of gave you that inspiration to say, I want to bring this into a crowded category and take it on?
I think Well, I wasn't born here. I was born in Vietnam, and I grew up drinking and eating foods very differently than a lot of my peers like 40 years ago, and going to different homes and houses and classes. And I think now, fast forward to when I started this 3 years ago versus when I was a kid, I felt like that was the time to actually showcase something very specifically Vietnamese. And I wanted to do it in a way that was really approachable for kids and for families and, you know, the American consumer. And I just felt like Vietnamese coffee wasn't represented really well and wasn't being told in a way that, you know, brought the authentic story of, you know, how I grew up drinking it.
Got it. And what makes Vietnamese coffee different for those that don't know?
Yeah, I've like answered this like multiple times, and I just just did like a long road show of like all these trade shows. So no, it's a very common question.
Yes.
Vietnamese coffee is made with the Robusta bean that's very native to Vietnam versus the Arabica, and it's double the amount of caffeine. So we sit at the intersection of energy drinks, you know, global foods, and RTD coffee in that segment of a very large growing category of all three of them. And so our cans range anywhere from 150 to 250 milligrams of caffeine. And that is made with that strong coffee, like I said. And what you're thinking of Vietnamese coffee when you drink it or when you order it at a pho restaurant where you grew up or where you hung out, Alex, is it's made with condensed milk. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we have, 2 SKUs made with dairy condensed milk, and then we batch our own organic oat milk condensed milk, and then we have black. And so it's just that full offering of the way different ways people drink their coffee, but made with Vietnamese coffee beans.
Got it. And then one follow-up, and then I'm going to go to Nicole next, and then Wade he has some questions lined up. So how, as far as your retail strategy and distribution, mm-hmm. is it the traditional route of natural first and hop over to conventional? Are you targeting any specific segments based on, you know, just the backstory of Sang?
I think the best for us, we definitely started natural first. We have, you know, we're in Sprouts and then, you know, we're at 6,000 stores now. And so we've done really well with the Fresh Time, Fresh Markets, and those conventional stores matched with the natural set. We always say that we sit right next to a Starbucks or La Colombe, right? It's not a niche product that needs to be in the ethnic aisle. And, you know, we were in an ethnic aisle and it was just a disaster for us. I didn't know anything. And so for us, it's just, we're nothing different when a buyer says to me, well, I have a Vietnamese coffee already. My response is always, how many gelatos do you have in your freezer? It's just a different kind of coffee, just like it's a different kind of ice cream. And so we're attacking it the same way as Starbucks and La Colombe and that giant TAM of the market of people like to drink their coffee with cream and sugar. And mm-hmm. and then we just add that extra boost with the Vietnamese beans and gives you a double or triple shot.
Okay. Next time I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm drinking Sang to get that extra caffeine boost there, because I start crashing after a few hours. So a question to Nicole, and then Wade, I'll flip it over to you. I read your story, right? I went to the website. I went to Google and I read your entire story, Nicole. This is really kind of a poignant question that really goes back to the history of late July, pre-Nixie. What was the bet the company moment for late July? When did that moment happen? And tell us more about that.
I mean, it's actually not, I mean, it's a very timely story, I think, for where we are today in CPG. It was 2009. I had started the company with my father, and he passed away very suddenly. And we, unfortunately, despite the experience we had a loan, and we didn't have that had a death of a member clause in it, and we didn't have key man insurance. And it was the height of that recession, and rates were, I mean, nothing. And so, I mean, our lender was just looking for any reason basically to get out of this loan. And they used my father's death as a technical default. I mean, it was a default. It put us in default. It was a non-curable default too. because we had a death of a member clause. We didn't have key man insurance, so there was no real way for us. And this was a large equipment loan. It was like $3 million. It was a lot of money. So here we are at the height of the recession. We were doing well. We had every year positive growth, but we weren't profitable. And I was tasked with having to replace this loan. And one of the moments, I'm going to try to condense this story as much as possible, but one of the moments I think that I will never forget, it's seared into my subconscious. I'd just gotten off of my father's funeral. We were very close. Obviously, we worked together. And I sat down at my desk and was going through the mail, and there was the letter from the bank, pointing out this default, offering us 30 days to cure it, which obviously can't do. And just thinking what are we going to do? This is, and so I think this time my husband and I were also working together. We sat down, we tried to figure out, and we did a couple of things. And this is I want to tell the second half of the story, because I think it's the most important part. We bet our entire future, on a pivot, essentially. We had always wanted to be a healthy snack brand, but we felt like we really weren't that, because we had cookies, we had crackers, we were kind of all over the place. And what we felt as something healthier for us was tortilla chips. It really spoke to everything we wanted to do. It was healthy, it was gluten-free, but naturally gluten-free. It was very inclusive. And so we effectively pivoted the entire company towards this new direction. I dragged the bank out as long as I could. And just, it was a fundraising environment, not unlike today, where, and we weren't profitable. We were small, but my co-founder had just died. We were betting the company on a pivot. And I had this meeting with Stop and Shop, and I had to basically win this account, because it was sort of the key moment of everything. And, I had a potential new lender lined up. I had all this stuff happening, but I had to get a yes in this one meeting, or we were doomed, basically. I got up at 3 a.m, went to the plane, got into this meeting. I thought it went great, but at the end of the meeting, the buyer asked me, and Wade, you can speak to this, that this almost never happens in this order, but the buyer asked me, is there anything else we can go over before, we end? I was like, well, there is one thing I'd like to know. Are you going to say yes by any chance? Because it would be extremely helpful to me if you could tell me that right now. And he looked at me and he's like, you know what? I am going to say yes. That never happens. So I before I could screw anything up, I got out of that room. I left as quickly as possible. I ended up getting home, I got the flu or something the next day. I was out of commission. But getting that account, we got a new lender, RSF Social Finance, which is a wonderful organization that funds socially mission-driven businesses. And we went into the next year, 2010, with a new product line, a new lender, a new key account. And we basically never looked back. It was from the lowest moment to we were like a rocket ship after that moment. So that is my bet. That was it. It could not have been a worse time to the best time for our company. So any CPG brands are out there struggling right now with fundraising or with anything in this environment, the reason you're a founder and an entrepreneur that got you here, that's what's going to get you out of this situation too. I've been there, and I can tell you it gets better.
I'm going to go to Karen next, but I have to say, you're right. That doesn't happen. But I will commend you for, many reasons, but above all else, one of the learning points there for people listening is ask for the yes. I would almost guarantee you, I could poll everybody listening and say, next to no one ever says or asks that question, are you going to say yes? Or can I have your business, or anything like that? That doesn't happen, because you're kind of flipping the script and putting the pressure back on them, and it's category managers, people in that position are used to being in control, if you will. But you're kind of putting them on the spot to answer that question. So kudos to you. Wow. So Karen, this means you and I have to figure out how to top that. It's like I feel like we're going and going and
Yeah,
going.
just
So
like she should just keep
no
going. Like
pressure.
I
We have
was,
two different sized feet. We've got a death in the family. She almost went. Just I mean, I don't know where we're going here, but no, I mean that's amazing. So Karen, I know you've been in business with Blume for not quite 8 years, right?
we just turned 7, actually. We
Just
just
turned
had our
7.
7th birthday in
It was 17. I
October.
wasn't sure how close it was. So, and I'm guessing you're based out of Canada. We started in Canada, right?
That's
So
right. Yeah.
tell me the biggest challenge you had in coming into the US, because we talk about this a lot. We have sponsors. We have a lot of Canadian brands on here and sponsors. And actually, spoiler alert, I have got a Canadian brand I'm going to show here in a little bit. But what was the biggest challenge for you? And obviously building your business, starting in Canada, and coming across. What was the biggest challenge?
Oh, it's such a good question. And like honestly, we're still in that journey, learning the differences between the US market and the Canadian one. I think especially Canadians, we like to say that we're really similar and group our mentalities together, but the American shopper is really different. And it's hard to learn that when I'm sitting in Vancouver. Because in Canada, we had the benefit of starting regionally, working with stores that were nearby where you could go in, meet the wellness buyer, talk to people on the floor, get feedback from your consumers in this really efficient way. Where in the US, like sitting like as a Canadian here in Vancouver, it's so much harder to do that. And so I think that's been maybe the biggest challenge for us is just like the actual physical distance. If we want to participate in store events or do consumer shows and it's like this drop in the bucket. But the way that we're really thinking about it is, we're 7 years behind where we are in Canada. And so everything is slow. It takes time. You need to have patience. We're not this venture backed company that has millions of dollars to invest in a top of funnel awareness campaign. And we have to do it methodically and thoughtfully. And we're doing it regionally to start with really key retailers we want to lean in on. So I would say that's the biggest hurdle for us is that just feel like distance from the end consumer. And Blume actually started digitally. So the first few years of our business were completely direct to consumer. And D2C is so different in the sense that you've got all this data. You can send a customer survey in 15 minutes to learn about what do they like, what do they not like, what flavors do they want, what are the benefits they're looking for. And so the more and more that we go into retail, I think like the harder you have to work for those insights. And that's like a really big shift in mentality, not just for me, but for the whole team as we go from like this digitally minded company to more of an omni-channel company. And how different those different channels are and how customers behave in those different channels.
Yeah. And then what's your sales breakdown between Canada and the US percentage wise, just like a range?
Right now, about 70% of it is in Canada, but we just found out that we're launching with Whole Foods nationally with our new line Super Belly that's going in January.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So next year the split will be a little different.
Okay. This is a weird off the wall thing I'm going to mention to you. One of my friends, because I'm like trying not to, I'm like smiling as
Why
you're talking.
not? Why not? Yeah,
we got to top the 2 feet thing, and we got to like raise the bar here. So I went into one of my friends, I should say. I don't smoke, right? One of my friends owns a smoke shop. It's in West Hollywood. It's called Tea Gardens, and it's spelled TEAGARDINS. And this is all public knowledge. You can go in, you can see the owner. His name is Derek. They have Blume at this smoke shop, and he has and this is, let me say, this is a high-end smoke shop. Okay. This isn't like this is in West Hollywood in a really kind of very nice area off Santa Monica Boulevard for those that have been to that area. And they have this section of adaptogen stuff. Like they have mud water there, and they have Shilajit, the mineral there, and they had Blume. And I'm like looking at the wall. I'm like, she's going to be on her show this Friday. This was on Tuesday when I saw this. And there's three SKUs.
Side.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like 3 SKUs on the wall, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool. So did you sell into the smoke shop, or did it happen and randomly go in through a distributor and you didn't know about it, or are you targeting smoke shops? I'm just curious.
We're not targeting smoke shops, but
I didn't think so. But
but I mean, I think that part of Bloom's strategy has always been like the specialty store.
right.
And so we work with, in Canada, the Barnes and Noble would be like the equivalent, but like Indigo, which is like a really like a bookstore that has beautiful gifts. And so we do take kind of like a non-conventional route to how we approach wholesale or retail. And we were talking about how it's like natural to grocery to mass. And we had like a step in before even natural that was these specialty stores. And the thing that's amazing about them is that you don't go through distributors. You're dealing with like humans who want to support small, who want to see you win, who have a genuine interest in your story and products, and who are passionate small business owners too. And so Blume can be found in some really non-conventional places. Like we're in a bunch of cafes. It sounds like some smoke shops. You can find us in like nail salons where people get Blume as a latte as they're getting like manicures.
Interesting.
And so the idea is that we're really trying to find a way to build brand awareness in these non-conventional ways that aren't necessarily, big budget. And that you can find Blume in like your neighborhood cafe where you have some built-in brand equity to learn about something new. And so I'm not surprised to hear that we're in a spot like that. We're not like actively seeking smoke shops, but the way that the products are positioned is that they can live outside of traditional channels.
Nice.
Makes perfect sense. Sense.
Definitely.
Yep. I have a question. You want me to go first or you, Wade?
I was going to go first because I want to
go back.
I want to go back to Nicole and ask. Obviously, late July, monster success. You exited, started Nixie. What some of the learnings off the jump that you took from your experience at late July when you started Nixie? Was there any like, I'm not going to do this again, or I have to do this, or was there anything like that as far as, obviously you're going from snacks to water, different categories, but both highly consumable, high velocity, anything along those lines?
I mean, the one thing that I think we were really lucky coming out of late July into Nixie was we had a whole team. I mean, I think everyone on this call can appreciate that as like probably one of the hardest things you do when you're building a company is building a team. And so going into Nixie, I had a team, which was incredible because, when we sold the company, they really weren't, they were kind of, incorporating it into their own operations. So our whole senior management team basically was available. I mean, that was step one. And when you're an emerging brand, I mean, it's so hard to attract talent. Like when we were first starting, late July, I mean, first of all, I had no money. I had no reputation. Yeah. I mean, you're asking people to like give up a career to take a chance on, and in this case, I didn't have to do that. Like I had a team, we all knew each other. And obviously we launched right before the pandemic. So going into the pandemic, it was nice that we were all a team that had already all worked together. It was a huge advantage. The other thing that I think is just been so much better than, just learnings is just our retail go-to-market strategy. I mean, basically, we developed what we think is a pretty solid way to do that. And so launching at Nixie, pandemic made it a little tricky, but, we basically employed, natural channel first to like learn, it's fail small, like learn what works, like, and then, before it, establish your velocity before you start, spending money and growing and making it big. And, so, I mean, that was, knowing going in what our retail strategy is going to be and what it took and how we had to learn. I mean, all of those things were incredibly valuable. The other thing that I just want to is software today is head and shoulders over where it used to be. I mean, I think that's the one side of our business that has done a great job, like keeping up with, just from HR and, your accounting software. I mean, it's so easy to do things remotely today. We were pretty remote back in late July days. because I always wanted to keep talent no matter where they wanted to live. So we sort of learned to accommodate that back then. But I mean, software has made all of that so much easier. So I mean, those three things, I think, a solid retail strategy that we already had, a team, which I mean, that's very unique to my specific situation. And then the software learnings. I mean, I'm getting questions. What is Nixie's plan for Canada? We were actually at Late July. We had bilingual packaging. The Canadian market is such an important one. It's hard when you're small. I mean, and I'm sure that Karen can speak to this. Having to manage multiple types of packaging is just so difficult when you're an emerging brand.
And I think if you're like a US brand too, the decision to move to Canada is like there's just so much opportunity in the US where it's sort of like the reverse situation for us, where the complexity of the supply chain maybe is worth it for the upside. But yeah, the packaging piece is it's a lot.
It's daunting.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll jump in on, I think Robert Kogan is also saying, hey, let's talk, since he brings products into, there's a reading between the lines, because Robert's a great guy. He's a premier sponsor on CPG Vibes. But besides all that, sponsor or not, he's a dear friend, and he's brought in a lot of brands into Canada. So I'm sure he'll be reaching out, and maybe there's an opportunity there because he's looking for a sparkling soda, right, to bring into Canada, because they're clamoring for it up there. And there needs to be a challenger brand, right, to some of the other guys that are already in there. So I have a very quick question. Okay, this is quick question for Nicole, overall question for the room, and then we're going to bring on our sponsor. Okay, I'm making this very, very structured, where usually we don't know what the hell we're doing on this show. The meaning of, and I'll ask the others also this, but very quickly, the meaning behind your brand names, the meaning behind Late July, the meaning behind Nixie, then we'll do it for Blume, and then Saying I have a better guess on and handle on, but let's just find out the meaning behind the names of your companies. Very curious.
So Late July, I grew up on Cape Cod, and I should say, my full disclosure, my birthday is July 30th. So
Late July, there you go.
I think Late July is sort of that sweet spot of summer. You're knee deep in it. It's that feeling you get when you're, it's going back to school, or fall isn't on your mind yet, and you're really starting to get in the groove of enjoying summer. And I really felt that's what a healthy snack brand should be, that like sweet spot of summer. Nixie is a combination of two things. One, my nickname is Nikki, and I love nicknames. I think I don't know, like I love having nicknames, using nicknames, and Nikki is my nickname. And Nixie is also another name for a more mischievous mermaid, which is tying back again to my love of the ocean and water and Cape Cod. And also both of them were available, and you could get, websites, and, they were unique enough that we could own them.
Yeah. And I think, like, from the marketing standpoint, having a name that's 2 syllables, Facebook, Google, Apple, Nixie, I'm putting in with Titans, right? These tech companies, but 2 syllables, catchy, easy to spell, easy to remember, and catchy. And you nailed all those check boxes.
Well, thank
and
you.
Then, so great stuff. And then my sister's birthday is in late July as well. So every time she's in San Francisco, but when she's here for her birthday, I get her late July.
Okay,
And then my neighbor, his name is Luke, so I buy Luke's organic chips.
That's funny.
And it's like so big, it's at Costco or something, and he's like, what the hell am I gonna do with a 2-pound bag of chips? All right, so Blume, Saying, the meetings, and I have a question, then we'll bring on our sponsors. So what is Blume? Where does that come from?
Well, when I started Blume, I was working in commercial real estate, and I was feeling really disconnected from like my health, my purpose, what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but there's a lot of like self-doubt and limiting belief that kind of went into starting Blume. And so the name is really about like coming into yourself, being more intentional. Blume was like originally like a side project off the side of my desk that I did in the morning and did deliveries in the afternoon. And eventually I went all in on it, but the name was really about like my personal journey into like leaning in, believing in myself, living more intentionally.
Cool. And
Nice.
saying,
hold on. I want to ask Lon a question before
sure.
she gives us this, because
Okay.
I do want to hear this, but I'm afraid we're going to go to our sponsor. I don't want to miss this question
Yes,
for
yes.
you. I need to know the idea behind Save Avery, because I think it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. I love it. I think the marketing aspect of it's brilliant, and I just want to hear a little bit more about the why, how you came up with it, and more importantly, what does Avery think about it?
Avery hates it. She gets lots of, I say that jokingly, but she's super proud actually, because she'll get text messages from her friends of seeing Saying throughout the city. And then, we started with just an idea and now we're in like 6,000 locations. So she loves it. But it started with, it's just a family affair, a family, I am the only full-time employee. I have a lot of offshore, I have 3 offshore people and I have fractional people, like Nicole said, this environment of software and keeping talent and like able to hire people wherever else. And so it was always just a family affair. She joined some of the Zoom marketing meetings, and then it was, there's other things of Saving Avery. And so that's kind of just how it all started of, money back guarantee of saving her or her college fund at risk and all of that. But so she's in a couple of campaigns and she likes it.
Love it. Okay. Now we got to talk about the name.
Sure. So Sang means a couple things in Vietnamese. You see the crown over the A and the N. It just manipulated differently. It can mean morning. It can mean bright. It can mean luxurious. And so I always wanted a name that the American consumer could say, but it always be authentically very much a Vietnamese name. And so we came up with Sang.
Awesome. All the names are great. They're so catchy. You can't forget them. And again, I go back to it. Easy to spell, easy to say, right?
Yeah.
So it was funny. One of my friends was creating an LLC for his business, and a lot of his customers write checks, right? And he works with a lot of foreigners, people from all over the world, right? He works in the jewelry district. And so he's like, what name should I choose? And he was like all these weird names and stuff. I'm just like, make it freaking simple. Mm-hmm. So it's called, I won't say the full name, but it's called it's a Golden Animal LLC. And it's the simplest name ever that anyone can spell and put on a check. So you want to make sure people put your name correctly so they can pay you, right? So that's really key. That's the reason to do it. So, all right. So we're going to bring on our sponsor. There was a question I had, but I'm going to wait to ask this question once we bring on Ashley. So our weekly sponsor here is Social Nature, and it's a female-founded business, 2 co-founders. We have Ashley Winston-Jones and Analia Krebs. And Ashley will be joining us here in just a second. And they basically, in a nutshell, they help natural brands get discovered on retail shelves through their community of 1.1 million shoppers who are looking for better-for-you options. Entering into retail is very, very hard when you got random store locations. But how about actually getting product to these people and driving them to try the product at store level? Very, very cost effective, and you'll drive in-store velocity by getting product in people's hands and into their mouths. So, and they're available in United States and Canada. So we're going to welcome Ashley to the show. Here she is. Hi. Ashley, thanks for being so patient.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. It was great to listen in on the background.
Awesome. So tell us more about, you've been and thank you for being an ongoing, a premier sponsor for CPG Vibe. You sponsored several episodes. And just want to hear more about you, about the company, about what you offer to brands. And there's a lot of brands tuning in that I think can really utilize what you have to drive trial and eventually drive velocity. So tell us more about Social Nature.
Yeah, thanks. So we have been in business now for almost 10 years. And we work with natural brands across North America to drive new customer acquisition at those key retail accounts. So we know that many brands grow at different stages, and that not all doors are created equal. So what's unique about our program is that you can come to the table with whatever store list you see fit, and then we guarantee new customer acquisition at those stores amongst our community. So we say that basically Social Nature is a way to create a customer for life, because we have a community of people who are truly interested in discovering better for you, often premium products. So you don't want to waste that free trial on someone who's not going to convert to sale thereafter unaided. And that's kind of where we come in.
Yeah, it's more targeted, right? Like that person is likely to not only try the product and enjoy it, but also buy it. You have the data to support that.
That's right. So you have an opportunity to custom qualify against, we have over 50 data points on our members, and then you have an opportunity to even further qualify through custom insights pre and post trials. So it's been pretty cool. I've even had brands get into new retailers based on the insights they collected from campaigns at their current retailers. So I think, my colleague shared some case studies there. Check out the Sweet Nothings case study. They used a campaign. They were focused in on Sprouts, but then used the results to get into Walmart from the campaign. So
awesome. And for anyone who's listening in and not seeing this case study, you can just go to YouTube, right? Plug there. Or you can rewatch this episode on LinkedIn and you can see everything about this case study. Best way to get a hold of Social Nature, is it LinkedIn messaging, socialnature.com? What's the easiest way for you?
Yeah, probably. You can find me on LinkedIn, marketing@socialnature.com. I'll reroute you from there. Either way, You're basically getting to me, and I will make sure to introduce you to the appropriate folks.
Cool. Awesome. And then we have our ongoing sponsors, Range Me and My Way 3PL. So this is pretty rare. We're on a special edition episode with many guests on that we bring on our weekly sponsor, but we felt empowered to do that because this week's sponsor, as mentioned a couple times, female founded. So we thought it was a really good match and alignment to have Ashley on for a few minutes. So the question that I have is really for anyone in the room, and then we're going to go through also, we're going to ask the question for the prize. So let me really quickly before my question, it's a category review insights package from Social Nature, includes a retailer specific focus group of 150 shoppers, 10 custom pre and post trial questions and product review ratings. These insights can provide consumer validation that the product deserves to be on the retailer's shelf and is extra relevant. So you can get a lot of data from this. It usually costs a lot of money, and for someone to execute on this. And this is going to be on the house, a prize generously donated to the show by Social Nature. So stay tuned to the very end. We're going to ask a question, and you can get the answer right, you can win the prize. So my question is really for the female entrepreneurs that are out there. What are certain things that, again, any question for anyone that you have done to help your business and work with partners that are really working to help female-founded companies, whether it's an investor, venture capital, some company that loans capital, working capital to female-founded businesses. Have there been any things that you have done, any levers you have pulled in order to help your business, given that you're female-founded? Just any strategies or tips for any female founders out there?
I think the simplest one is to all get the certification. There's different certifications that you can get, whether it's the New York, New Jersey one or women-founded certifications you do. Sometimes it depends on the retailer. They do give you a discount on slotting or waive slotting, but that's just a very easy certification to get. I think that's the first thing you should do as a female-founded or female-backed business.
That's fascinating that they, with the right partner or retailer, that they potentially could waive certain fees.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Anyone else?
I think you go ahead, Nicole.
I don't I'm trying to think. I don't know. I can't, that's a hard one to answer. I can't really speak to anything in particular, I guess.
I think what I would say is that women founders are often so generous with time and information and help. And there are a lot of great women founder organizations that I've loved participating in that often have like pitch competitions, like small angel groups, online courses or in-person courses to build network. And so one of the things that have been the most valuable to me growing Blume is just surrounding myself with other women entrepreneurs who are going through similar challenges, whether it be emotional validation that you're looking for and emotional support, or hard facts in terms of who you should go to contact information, organizations that have helped them. So I think there are a lot of them out there. I'm personally involved with one called the Forum here in Canada. And every chance they can, they elevate women-founded businesses and their stories. And I think tapping into groups like that who really want to see you win is such a catalyst. And sometimes you just like need that encouragement to keep going.
100%. And there's a comment here from, I think it's from Social Nature, right? The one that works with you, Ashley, the LinkedIn user.
Jonathan Prince. That's Jonathan Prince.
Oh, I'm totally wrong. Okay, I can't see who it is on the StreamYard, but Wade can. So Jonathan said they have special government-sponsored support for exporting for women-owned businesses. That's cool. And then I listened to a podcast maybe a year and a half ago on BevNet, just to cross-promote, right, because we love them. And I listened to Maxine Kozler, if I'm pronouncing her name right, with LDR Ventures. And she seems like a great resource, too. She's venture capital, has supported and invested in women-owned businesses, and she is very passionate about helping other women founders, whether it's with advice or actually investing. So that's another, I think, gem of a person that you can reach out to. So, okay. So anyone else, or we're going to go to our trivia question here? Okay. All right. So as always, we are never prepared, and we do not have a question. I don't have a question. Wade, do you have a question for everyone, or maybe we can ask someone in the room their question?
I was going to say I have not been so busy trying to keep links up,
multitasking,
and I noticed we just had Joseph bought a case of Sang while we were talking.
Yes.
So yeah, I was going to say we just sold a case of Sang. So no, but you got one, right?
Okay, I do have one, and so, and also Allison Clay said, name Alex. That's Maxine Kozler with LDR Ventures.
Allison's asking if we can ask her question quick, and I think we can get through this real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a good question. She wants us to ask everyone. So she's asking, what are the most common misperceptions about your brand and product? What steps do you take to combat those, if any? So let's start with Karen.
Ooh, common. Oh, I think just that we're bigger than we are. Like it's a team of 17 very like hardworking, small but mighty, working in the background. And yeah, I would say that that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
And how do you combat it?
That's a good one, by the way. That's a good misconception.
We're doing a lot more storytelling than we used to be doing, just sharing the behind the scenes of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're really trying to bring people along on what it takes to run a small business, and hopefully not small forever. So yeah, I think it's just like being authentic about the story and showing up and doing that storytelling, because that's what people really want to connect with.
Okay. Lon, and when you're giving your answer, Joe wants to know what kind of beans you use in Sang.
We use the Robusta. Okay. The biggest misconception, I would say, is that when a buyer asks me, or like any investor, they will say, are most of your consumers Asian, or are they Vietnamese? And the answer is emphatically no. You look at our Shopify, and the customers on our Shopify list are 85% American names, and it's not a coastal breakdown either. We have a lot of consumers in the Midwest. And yeah, so I think that's the biggest misconception. And that's why I started saying with an American name with a Vietnamese word, because I wanted to just show that it's very universal and broad appeal to that. So
love it.
Pure genius right there. That's great.
Right. All right, Nicole.
I mean, I think one of the things like I've struggled with probably my entire career, really, with both companies, was just a little bit of the confusion around what it means to be certified organic versus non-GMO, and like why that matters in categories that are, like non-produce or dairy. And it's such a tough one, because it's such a complicated answer, and there's nothing great when you have a complicated thing to describe, that you need to describe simply. That is just a very hard thing to do. And also it's not, trying to explain like climate change or why these are all like very complicated things that, you really don't want to get into. And you definitely don't want to use like your packaging to help tell that story. So, that is like why organic matters in our categories has definitely been something that I've struggled with forever. And ultimately the way we combat it is to not ignore it, but to basically make it the second part of our story, that we are like we are a taste driven product. And then we let people like fall in love with that first. And then we start explaining our attributes. I mean, obviously I wish that, like the rest of the universe was like where I am about organic and sustainable food, but I'm practical enough to know they're not. So, we let like taste drive our brand, and then, then we tackle the more complicated issues around the climate and sustainability and, what's the difference between non-GMO and organic and, so.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Awesome. All right. So thank you for sharing everything, right, and all the insights for just everyone viewing. We had a ton of people on the show today, tremendous amount of comments. And again, if you want to rewatch this, it's going to be posted on Apple Podcasts and Spotify on Monday. And it's also on YouTube starting whenever Wade gets to upload it. And
it'll be on there later today.
I'd
say within an hour after the show.
Nice. You're just going to click it, it'll upload, and you're going to go to dinner. And by the time you get back from dinner, it'll be done. Okay, so this is someone saying, should we ask a question? What kind of bean that Sang mentioned, but she said it 4 times.
She just said it 2 minutes ago.
And she just said it. So the question is, and it was only said once, when is Nicole's birthday? What month, what day, what month and day?
That's really hard.
I was going to say.
My family gets that wrong.
There's a big clue. So it's her
there's
one of her brands. So
while people are thinking, I just want to say how excited I was to be on the panel with all of these women today. I mean, I'm huge fans of their brands, and I don't know, this has just been a real treat. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Is that the answer? Is that the answer?
I think Joe got it. I heard July 30th.
I see 31st.
July 30th, right? Right, Nicole?
Yeah, it's the 30th.
Yeah, I remember it was within a couple days of my sister's birthday. So, okay, so Joe, you are the winner, and you're going to get a category review insights package from Social Nature, and it includes a retailer-specific focus group of 150 shoppers, 10 custom pre- and post-trial questions, and product review ratings. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Social Nature, to Ashley. Thank you so much for joining us, sponsoring us, supporting us. And then if you'd like to claim your prize, go to CPG Vibes, email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. To reach out to Social Nature, you can email marketing@socialnature.com, or also message Ashley or Analia right on LinkedIn. And then also big thanks to our ongoing sponsors. RangeMe, go to rangeme.com/CPG Vibes. They work with over 15,000 buyers. And then My Way 3PL, and they help you with your logistics pain points, and they save you money, and they also consult with you to help you grow your business. And then there's also Comment, amazing panel. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up for Social Nature. You get an exclusive access to natural goodies and offers that save you money.
Yes, sign up as a community member, and then you get to try too.
All good stuff. All good stuff. The biggest thanks among the sponsors and everyone and the people watching and the comments and the engagement, the biggest thanks goes to our guests, right? The female founders of these wonderful businesses, one that has exited, I'm sure many more that are going to be exiting in coming years, and how amazing these women are and how they've really shown how they can scale these brands, and they're still going, right? So it's very hard to build a brand, and they're doing the impossible. I've been through it. It's nearly impossible, and they're showing that they can do it. So Lan Pham with Sang Vietnamese Coffee, Karen Danudjaja with the co-founder of Blume, Nicole Dawes, Nixie, and she also exited from late July, and Ashley Winston Jones, Social Nature. Thank you all for joining CPG Vibes. And we'll see everyone next week. And Wade, take care, buddy.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes.
See you next week.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.